and just so that kind of brief history, Kat and I go back to 2009, where I met her at the Basilica of St. Mary's in downtown Minneapolis, where she was giving one of her world-renowned topic speeches and presentations, and that was don't trust the internet for applying for a job. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kat, but I think that's what you were talking about way back then. But a little bit about our speaker, Cat Breet, 23 years of insider secrets. That's what you get with Cat Breet. This isn't her first rodeo, and the gig economy isn't new at all. Kat hired and placed her first consultant at MoneyGram International way back in 1997. Since then, she's working on recruiting, sales, leadership, and consulting positions for 3 global consulting firms. She has hired and coached thousands of freelancers and consultants all over the world. She sold consulting services to some of the biggest brands on the planet in the advertising, agriculture, CPG, finance, healthcare, marketing, medical device, retail, and technology industries. In other words, she knows what she's talking about. Since Kat launched ARBEZ, and that's ARBEZ, in 2006, she's been a frequent media guest and is the leading voice in how to thrive in the new world of work. You can count on her to deliver the good, the bad, and the ugly with shocking honesty and practical, actionable tips that you can use right away in your life. And I can vouch for that statement. When she's not teaching people how to become highly paid consultants, her signature, of course, you can find her chasing fun with her husband and 2 boys, either at their Northwoods cabin or under the sea in a warm weather destination. And oh, by the way, ARBEZ spells zebra backwards, and she owns a zebra. His name is Joe. I give you our speaker tonight, Cat Breet.
Hi, everybody. John, thank you so much. It's just really a pleasure to be back with you, talking to veterans in transition. Hello to everybody that's here tonight. And I just want to kick it off by saying I am not a veteran. But I come from a long line of family members who are. My great-grandfather started the ambulance corps across Europe during World War II. He was a doctor. My dad flew in the Air Force. 2 of my brothers were in the Navy. One was a medic, one was an engineer. Cameron was a medic in Desert Storm when I was in college. And I just was deeply, deeply affected by getting occasional letters from him. And you'll all laugh at this. My brother, writing to his little sister who was in college, he said, the bombs were dropping all night long. That was Cameron's way of saying, I love you from across the miles. And I was just beside myself the whole time he was there. So that was Cameron. And I'm proud to say that his 2 sons now are also serving. So Charles is in the Air Force. He's an engineer, and Chad is a medevac pilot. And he is actually on the front lines right now. I don't know where. And so I just, the Pledge of Allegiance and the moment of silence really meant a lot to me tonight. So thank you, Adam, for leading us in that. Obviously, thinking a lot about Chad these days. So it's just a real pleasure to be here. That was the heavy stuff. Now let's talk about the fun stuff. Ditching the corporate ladder, being your own boss. I am going to be honest with you. John's absolutely right. I have a wicked reputation for telling the truth. In fact, that's why I ditched the corporate ladder. I worked for 2 global consulting firms, and I left and started my own business because I just couldn't take it anymore. I could not take the secrets. So there were incredible consultants who were out making tons of money for our company. And yet I was being told, well, don't tell them that, don't tell. And I was fed up. So I jumped out 15 years ago to start my own business so that I could tell the truth, the whole truth, and give people the chance to do work that they love and make top dollar without apology. And it's been an incredible ride. So I'm going to share with you tonight the good, the bad, the ugly. Live chat is open. Please bring your questions, bring your comments. Anything is fair game. There is no dumb question. And I hope you enjoy the ride. So I am going to share my slides here. I've got a couple of stories to share, a couple of pictures. that kind of keep me on point. So first of all, this is what a rookie recruiter looks like. This is me, 24 years old. I was over the moon. I got a job. I'd been a flight attendant. I'd been a tour guide in Alaska. I'd been a bartender in California. I'd hiked the Appalachian Trail with inner city kids. And I was 24 and I finally got myself a grown up job as a recruiter at this global consulting firm. And I was so proud to call my dad and say, Daddy, guess what I did? I finally got a real job at a big global company. I have healthcare benefits, a steady paycheck. It's fantastic. And my dad, not one to mince words, said, so now what are you doing again? And I said, I'm recruiting consultants. And this is what my dear old dad said. Oh no. And I said, I was heartbroken. I didn't understand at all why my dad was not impressed with me at that moment. But I got to tell you, it didn't take me long. It only took me about 3 or 4 months in the trenches as a recruiter at this consulting firm to understand what my dad was worried about. He basically said to me, consultants are a bunch of overpaid people who don't get their work done and cause me a lot of pain and suffering. That's kind of all he said to me. Now, years later, I finally understood what my dad was talking about. Every now and then, there are consultants who win projects, who are overpaid, underdeliver, and make the full-time employees' lives miserable. And I know some of you are out there laughing right now because you've had the same experience that my dad has had. However, it's 23 years later, 24 years later, and I can tell you that life on the other side, when done right, can be fabulous. Now, when I got started in 97, only 17% of Americans worked as freelancers, contractors, giggers. Today, it's 36%. Well, why? 3 main reasons why people love being their own boss, being solopreneurs, working as fractional executives, contractors, whatever you want to call them. 3 big reasons: more money per hour, more freedom and flexibility, and a lot more fun. Now I'm going to start by sharing the good stuff with you and telling you what the heck do I mean by more money, more freedom, and more fun. And then we're going to talk about the dark and ugly side and where people get into trouble when they're trying to make it as consultants. And again, let me pop open. This chat disappeared on me. I want to make sure I can get to your questions. And Adam, Alan, John, Sheila, interrupt me anytime if I'm missing some juicy questions here. There we go. I've got the chat. Okay. So question for all of you. How many of you are either currently a consultant or you've been one in the past? Do tell. I am. Larry is. Becky, yes. Hi, Becky. Samuel, look at that. We've got some pros on the line today. So pressure's on. Samuel, Becky, Michelle, Doug, Gabriel, Alan, Steve, Sean, please chip in with your insights, your advice. I am not the only one with experience here. Please let your voice be heard and tell those that are considering this why they should, things to watch out for, what have you. So bring the comments on. I would really appreciate that. All right. So the good, more money, more freedom, more fun. What does that look like? Well, this is my life on the other side when I was finally brave enough to ditch that corporate ladder and jump out on my own. I do have a company named Arbez Zebra Backwards. I do own a zebra. His name is Joe. And what do? I help people stand out from the herd and love what they do for a living. Now, I don't always shove people into consulting. I also help people make the decision to go back or continue to be full-time. So don't feel tonight is not about pressuring you to becoming a consultant. It's about laying the platter out in front of you and letting you decide 2 things. Is this the right time? And are you really interested in it? So my life on the other side, 15 years later, I'm able to travel all over the world and speak. This is me having a ball in Texas. This is me in China in 2019. I spoke to the Project Management Institute in Shanghai, and I spoke to a group of entrepreneurs, and they liked me. I was a little shocked. It was a lot of fun. Because I own my own business, I was able to get some speaking gigs and drag my entire family along for 3 entire weeks. And so it was business and personal, and I made money along the way, and we got to tour through China and make some friends. This was one of my favorite moments at one of the temples with a group of tourists there that they didn't speak any English, and I spoke about 10 Chinese words. So fun, fun, fun. The most fun for me is that I have the flexibility and freedom to spend time with my family. And I've made enough money to buy a cabin. Finally, I'm not from Minnesota, but I've been here 23 years. I finally was able to afford a cabin on a lake. And this is me with my husband, 2 boys, and my mother-in-law. We're able to take trips whenever we want. This is me in Aruba. Right before COVID broke out, I take long weekends guilt-free. In fact, I'm leaving tomorrow morning for my cabin right after my live show, and I don't have to ask permission or apologize to anybody because I'm the boss. Now, when I ain't working, I'm not always making money. So there's that. We'll talk about that later. But I'm not the only one who loves this lifestyle. Listen to the folks that have been doing it, that are doing it, that want to get back into it. Let them tell you what they love about it. Here's some of my favorite success stories. Eric is in his 20s. When he came to us for help, he was very nervous about ditching his big, safe corporate job at a huge bank, but he was brave. He took the jump and he doubled his income his first year out. He was able to move out to Utah, and he now free climbs whenever he wants and works a flexible schedule, and he's making twice as much money. Terry was a highly successful Six Sigma lean engineer, and she jumped out and tripled her income her first year out after going through our program, and sent me this note that she was drowning in highly paid work and having to turn away business her very first year in business. So when it's done right, when you learn from people who have been there before and you know where the bodies are buried, you can have a ton of fun and live a wonderful, flexible lifestyle. But it is not all a bed of roses. And I'm sure everyone here who's been a consultant can tell you war stories about the dark side of consulting, working with staffing firms that took half their revenue, blah, blah, blah. There are lots of things that you need to be aware of, and we're going to talk about all of them. All right, so consulting can be a great way to make a living, but what you don't know can hurt you, and that is what we're going to talk about tonight. It's about getting educated. That's really all I'm here to do, is just share what I've learned with you so that you have the tools to make the best decision for yourself. There are 2 critical questions that I help people make. Is consulting right for you? Are you actually good? You've got the chops. Let's just get that off the table. You are qualified. You are smart enough. You are talented enough. And you know what I can actually say to you? If you survived the military, you absolutely have the courage and the chops to be highly successful as a consultant. That is not the question. The question is, will you enjoy it? And the second question, is this the right time in your career and in your life? So those are the 2 things I'm going to help you explore. By the way, somebody asked earlier today, I am going to send a copy of my slides, and I'm also going to give all of you a free assessment. It's a 10-point plan to help you launch for success, and you're going to get both my slides and my assessment for free tonight. So here's what I'd like you to do. Take notes by all means on your light bulb moments, your questions, you things you want to learn more about. Don't worry about scratching out what I'm talking about, because you're going to get my slides and my assessment. And then also, of course, I'd love for you to live chat and bring your burning questions to us tonight so we can help you answer them. All right, so here's the agenda. The good, the bad, the ugly. 4 biggest reasons why consultants fail to thrive. They aren't able to get consistent revenue. They don't have fun. It's just difficult and frustrating, and they give up and they go back to full-time employment. I'm going to tell you the 4 biggest reasons why that happens, and then I'll tell you how to avoid it. The 6 ways to mitigate the blind spots and the risks so that you can make money fast and start having fun and succeed. We will talk about staffing firms. I spent 12 years working for global consulting firms, both in the technology and the marketing arena. And I'm going to tell you what it's all about and how to use them to your advantage and what to watch out for. And then again, we'll wrap it up with talking about, is consulting right for you, and is now the right time? So talk to me. Why are you here tonight? It is a spectacular Minnesota evening, and you chose to join us. Why? Is it because those daggone recruiters keep calling you? You don't want to be a consultant, but the recruiters keep calling you with contract gigs. I know some of you are here because of that, and that's okay. Number two, maybe you've got friends who've been telling you for years, you'd be fabulous. You should really become a fractional CFO. Maybe you've been dreaming about it for years. Maybe you're tired of watching your friends jet off to China for 3 weeks, take 4-day weekends guilt-free, and you want to get in on the fun. Or maybe it's just frankly money. You know, because you're writing the checks and you see how much money these consultants are getting paid, and you're like, why not me? So I'm curious in the chat, why are you here tonight? Which of these speaks to you? And it might be all of them. If this is your first time hearing me speak, what you should know is that I am very patient, waiting to see chat come back in. So I'd love to hear from you. And to those of you that are consulting or have been consulting, maybe look at my list or think about why, what do you love about consulting? And actually, I'd like to know from you, why are you here tonight? You already know how to succeed as a consultant. What brought you here tonight so that I can make sure I give you what you're looking for as well? There we go. Money and fun. Can those go together in one? Alan Hill, you know they can. Be my own boss and money. Yeah, the flexibility and freedom, especially coming out of this global pandemic, we all cherish our time to take care of our family and our loved ones and our freedom and flexibility. And we've all been reminded of how important those things are. So flexibility, freedom, be your own boss. Steve's just here for networking. Hey, nothing wrong with that, Steve. And a continuous improvement and wanting to learn more. Great. Gavriel has a wife who recently launched her own business, and he's a little bit jealous. I'm putting words in your mouth. He would like to have the same flexibility in his schedule and hopefully pick up some tricks. All right. So thank you very much for chatting with me. So the good, I've talked about money, freedom, flexibility, couple of success stories. Funny story along those lines. My dad was still alive to see the day when I started my own business. I became a consultant, and guess what? What he said was true. My very first consulting assignment. So as a full-time director of recruiting, I was making the equivalent of $56 an hour. My very first consulting assignment, I sold myself at $150 an hour. So I went from making $112,000 per year to $300,000 per year. And you know what my dad said? See, I told you so. Another fun thing, I've been able to add some amazing companies to my resume. And I love the challenge and the excitement and the adventure of stepping into new organizations. And this is not a comprehensive list. This is just some of the global, regional, and local organizations that I've been able to work for, which is very fun. So this is Julian, who actually is a veteran as well. He came through our coaching program. He had been a successful consultant for 9 years. And he came into the coaching program because he was a little bit lonely. It can get lonely out there. And he wanted to raise his rates, and he wanted to reshape his business and scale. And that's why he came into our program, and he was able to negotiate his highest rate ever and handle a tricky political situation. Stephen became a consultant, and he's been doing it for 12 years, and he made enough money and had enough success that he was able to take an entire 12 months off, travel the planet, and drag his family with him all over the world, which was really fun. So there are more great reasons to become a consultant. So some of you are here tonight because you're not really excited about it. You're curious. Maybe the recruiters keep calling you. Let me tell you another good reason to stick with us tonight and to seriously consider contract work. When I first became a recruiter, my job was to cold call full-time salaried employees at their desk and convince them to talk with me about quitting their full-time salaried job to become a consultant. And people said, "Are you nuts?" And I have to be honest with you, at the age of 24, I thought I was nuts. I thought these people were nuts to consider leaving the security of a full-time salaried job with healthcare and benefits and 401k and stock options and the corporate ladder. I'm now a lot wiser and smarter, and I've watched the waves of layoffs come and come and come, not just during the Great Recession, but layoffs are now a core business strategy. And if you haven't figured it out yet, maybe you're just rolling out of the military. Newsflash, layoffs are a core business strategy, and the average American is changing jobs every 4.5 to 5 years, often not by choice. Layoffs are often swift and brutal. You are sacrificing your family and giving everything to your company only to find out that you got your pink slip and laid off with 2 weeks notice and 2 weeks severance, or no notice and no severance. So unfortunately, the days of the 30-year employees are gone. That's the hard news. The great news is the possibilities, the opportunities for you right now, today, are unbelievable. They are unbelievable globally. All right. So in the chat, you can raise your hand or you can say, yes, me, or whatever. My question for you is, if you've ever been laid off, did your company give you 5.5 months notice before you lost your job? If you've been laid off, did you get 5.5 months notice? Let me see, yes or no. The reason I'm asking that is the average length for a job search in the States right now, according to the Department of Labor. That is how long the average person is on unemployment before they can find a job. No, 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 no. So the reason I'm asking this question is, if it takes the average American 5.5 months to find a job, why aren't companies giving them 5.5 months notice? Well, of course, because it's all about the almighty bottom line. And if you're lucky and if you've been at a company for a long time, you might get 5.5 months severance, which can be a beautiful thing. We all know the unemployment checks do not cover your full salary. So anyway, enough bad news, right? Enough bad news. In the new world of work, every job is temporary. We've talked about that. Now let's talk about, so I've talked about, here are all the reasons why I am excited you're here, and I want you to seriously consider trying consulting or contract work on for size. Now I'm going to talk about the bad and the ugly. Are you ready? Tighten your belt, strap in, pour a martini, whatever you want to do. I'll be honest with you about the challenges, because it isn't for the faint of heart. It does get lonely. It can be frustrating. I've been in this industry 23 years, and I still get surprises from clients sometimes. So let's talk about what happens. There are 4 challenges that you need to think about: health insurance, taxes, legal, and liability will all fall to you. Let me take a step back. I'm actually going to back up this slide, and let me tell you, before I talk about that, let me explain something to you. To those of you that are new, freelancers, contractors, consultants, giggers, fractional folks come in a couple of different sizes. You can start your own business, literally start your own business, an LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp, what have you, where you go and incorporate, you set up your own business, you name it, you have a website, you have a bank account, everything is separate from your personal finances, and you are a business owner. If you are selling yourself in that way, you're going to work directly with clients as a corporation to a corporation. It's called corp to corp. The tax form that you will fill out is called a 1099. If you are a small business owner, then number 1 is true for you. And now I'm going to get back to my list here. If you are a small business owner, healthcare, all of the taxes, legal and liability fall on your shoulders. Yes, of course, you need to take care of your own health insurance, But if you have your own business and you're working corp to corp as a 1099, you're going to have to pay the full FICA tax burden. As an employee, you only pay half the FICA taxes and your employer pays the other half. So 1099, start your own business, all of that is on your shoulders, including liability. You're going to have to take out business liability insurance in case the client is unhappy and they sue you. It's not fun to talk about, but you have to protect yourself. Now, in the middle is something else that you can consider, and that is working as a W-2 hourly contractor through a staffing or consulting firm. And this middle area can be a beautiful way for you to get started. They will find clients, negotiate contracts, collect the money. They might even offer you limited health insurance. They will carry the business liability insurance. So if the client sues, they will likely sue them and not you. They will pay half of your FICA taxes. So that's some of the benefits of starting out and going through a staffing or consulting firm. They also might be there to support you. They might be there to support you. We'll talk more about them in a little bit, but that's the good stuff. The dark side of this is they're going to take more of your money. So for instance, if you have your own business and you bill yourself out at $150 per hour, like I did, I got to keep all that money. And then I shelled out some for FICA and business liability insurance and stuff. If I had taken that gig through a staffing firm, they would have probably paid me $100 an hour and taken $50 an hour. And if they really wanted to play dirty, they would have paid me $75 an hour and taken $75 an hour. So if you go through a staffing firm, it's easier, it's gentler, it's safer. They're going to take a big chunk out of your revenue. Again, it can be a beautiful way for you to get started. Ultimately, I would love for all of you to have your own business and be able to chart your own course, do what you want to do, how you want to do it, when you want to do it, and keep the money for yourself. 3 other challenges that consultants run into that, quite frankly, makes a lot of people give up on this lifestyle. If the average full-time employee is hunting for jobs every 4 to 5 years, the average consultant is hunting for that next project every 6 to 12 months, depending on the kind of work that you do. Number 3, your contracts. You might sign on the dotted line for a 12-month project, and then they lose the client, or the CEO changes, or the company gets gobbled up. They cancel the project, and that 12-month project becomes, thanks for your time, today's your last day. Well, we've already discussed your full-time job can end just as swiftly and brutally, but it's likely to happen more often as a consultant. And then number 4, getting paid can be a challenge. It's only happened to me once in 15 years that I have not gotten paid. It was excruciating. It was my first year out, and I was a little too cocky because I'd sold millions of dollars of consultants and consulting services for global consulting firms. Because I'd sold millions of dollars for somebody else, I thought I knew exactly what I was doing with contracts and collections and clients, easy peasy. Well, my very first year, I did not pin my client down. I didn't do a D&B check on his business. I didn't do any reference checks. Come to find out, the guy had a history of not paying his vendors, closing his business, and starting a new one. He took my work and still hasn't paid me $10,000. That was a painful lesson, but it only happened once 15 years ago. So anyway, those are some of the challenges. Comments, thoughts, anything like that? With that as the backdrop to some of the challenges around consulting, my question for you is, what do you think are the biggest reasons that consultants fail and go back to full-time employment? They fail to get that consistent revenue. They fail to enjoy it. Before I tell you my top 4, what do you think are the biggest reasons that consultants give up and go back to full-time? Kenneth, self-motivation. They lose their mojo. It is hard work to go find clients and they just lose the motivation. Samuel, some people find that they are uncomfortable with all of the uncertainty. You're on a phenomenal project right now. You have 2 great clients. You don't know what next year is going to bring. That can be very unnerving. Selling, constantly selling, and maybe they don't have the skills to sell. They don't know how to sell themselves effectively. Healthcare, Christian, you're right. It's gotten much more expensive. 23 years ago, it was cheap for a consultant to buy their own health insurance on the open market. Health insurance is very expensive. And if you're not charging high enough rates to give you some financial cushion to be able to afford healthcare and to be able to afford the downtime between projects, then it can get really tight. Sean, it's meeting client expectations. Things are different when you show up at a company as a consultant. You no longer have 90 days to get your feet wet. They expect you to hit the ground running, and you need to learn how to communicate on a higher level. Their expectations of you will be higher. They're bringing you in to solve a specific problem, and they expect you to get in there and get that work done and communicate it. They expect you to be mature enough to raise your hand when you're having problems early. And so anyway, communicating with client can be tough. Similarly, John says they struggle to really understand and uncover what their client really needs and wants. And I got to tell you, a lot of that challenge isn't the consultant's fault. There are a lot of hiring managers that don't know how to hire and onboard and manage consultants, and they do a rotten job of it. And there you are as a new consultant struggling to get clear communication from your client. All right, fabulous, fabulous. No team, you're by yourself. I can get lonely. And Steve, being a doer, an individual contributor who does amazing work, is a different skill set from being a business owner. Absolutely. In fact, Steve, I'm so glad you brought that up. One of my favorite books, Alan Hill, do me a favor and type this out in the chat to everybody. One of my favorite books is by Michael Gerber, and it is called The E-Myth, for the entrepreneur myth, the E-Myth revisited. So he originally wrote the book like 15 years ago. It has been updated. It's the E-Myth revisited by Michael Gerber, and it does a beautiful job of talking about the difference between a doer and a business owner. And he gives the example of a woman who bakes beautifully. She's an extremely talented baker, and she starts her own bakery, and she's in the kitchen the whole time, and she's not running her business. And so the book talks about how she had to step back and ask herself the question, do I really want to run a business, or do I really want to be in the kitchen full time? And so it's a great book for you to read. Thank you very much. There's Alan. I knew he'd help me out. Okay, so thank you all for chatting. Here are the top 4 reasons that consultants fail to thrive. And was it John? Might have been Steve who said, you didn't say mindset, self-motivation. Mindset. The number 1 reason consultants give up on themselves is mindset. That inner critic is a beast. And I've had my own business for 15 years. And I got to tell you, I am still working on my mindset and my inner critic every day, because she's always right there on my shoulder, whispering in my ear every time I dare to try something new or call a new client or start a new project. She's always got some fears that she's willing to share with me. So I've had to learn how to handle that, honor it, look her in the eye and say, hey, I hear your concern. I know what you're worried about. Legit, here's what we're going to do about it. So you have to constantly work on your head games. And I know all of you know how to do that, because success in the military is all about mindset, isn't it? So number 1, mindset. So don't forget your skills. You got to stay on top of it as a consultant. Number 2, and a lot of you brought this up, they don't know how to sell themselves and find the clients. Number 3, they don't know how to stand out from the herd. That's why I help people change their stripes and stand out from the herd. In all seriousness, if you show up as a business systems analyst, I have some news for you. There are thousands of business systems analysts on LinkedIn in this region alone, and so most of them are pretty talented. You're going to have to find out what makes you unique, what makes you a standout in your industry, in your space, so that A, people want to hire you. B, they remember you. And C, they refer their friends to you when their friends need help. And that takes a little bit of work. It's actually the same work that you're going through in your job search. So, hey, before I forget to mention it, everything that you're doing as a job seeker is setting you up for success as a consultant. So there's actually no reason why you can't entertain full-time opportunities and consulting opportunities right now at the same time. And then the fourth reason consultants fail to thrive is they aren't charging enough money. So if you think selling yourself is hard, I want you to know that the first time somebody asks you how much money do you want, and you say $150 an hour or $250 an hour, your stomach is going to be in your throat. You're going to break out in sweat under both armpits and maybe even on your forehead. That's what happened to me. Again, I'd been selling other consultants for 12 years when I started my own business, and I was sitting across the desk from this CEO who was tall and he was handsome and he was charming and he was in $1,000 suit and he was intimidating. And he asked me how much money I wanted to make. And I said, based on my research and the work that you're asking me to do globally, $150 an hour. And then I shut up. And he looked at me and he laughed out loud. And then he crossed his arms and he leaned back in his chair and he looked down at me and he said, $150 an hour. And I said, yes, sir. And he said, huh. Well, let me tell you what your competition is charging. Here's one who wants 100 an hour, $50 per, 50% less than you. No, not 50%. $50 more less per hour. She only wants $100 an hour and she's got a master's degree. This guy only wants $75 an hour and he's got a lot more technology selection than you do. And then he leaned back again and crossed his arms and he said, so why are you worth twice him and $50 more per hour than her? My stomach that was in my throat jumped out of my throat. I took a deep breath. I wiped the sweat off my brow. I looked at both resumes and I said, well, if you're looking for somebody to only do compensation planning, you should hire her. If you're looking for somebody who is just going to do technology selection, you should definitely hire him for half the price. However, if you're looking for a consultant who can do comp planning, technology selection, and fix the fighting between your recruiting and sales team, you're stuck with me. I don't see any consulting, global consulting experience or recruiting experience with either of them. And then I stopped talking and I tried to find my breath again. And he smiled and he said, dag nabbit, you're right. I knew that, but I was just trying to talk you down on rates. So anyway, I got the job, but that moment, I have to tell you the truth. I knew I should bite my lip, but I wanted that project so badly. I was so excited about it. And when he looked at me and said, why are you so expensive? I almost said, I'm willing to negotiate. And if I had said, I'm willing to negotiate, that CEO would have pushed me down to $75 an hour. Ouch. You got to learn how to sell yourself and how to charge enough money without apology. All right, are you scared yet? I hope not. I hope not. But if you have these 4 challenges going on as a consultant, it will lead to sleepless, lonely, scary nights. And unfortunately, you're going to end up wasting time in all the wrong places. You're going to start chasing leads online that don't get you jobs. You're going to be networking with the wrong people. And you're going to be spending hours and hours with tire kickers. Unfortunately, there are going to be companies who want you, but they're not going to hire you. But they will ask you to do RFPs and meet with 5 people on their team. And you're going to be giving away free advice to a whole bunch of people who never hire you. Those are some of the challenges. And so you need to know that. You just need to have your eyes wide open and stand up and say, okay, all right, so there are some challenges. I have faced some hard times in my life before. I got this. I got to figure out where my blind spots are. I need to network with other successful consultants, of which there are many inside the Eagles group, by the way. Get advice from people who have been there and done that, and figure it out and get out there and have some fun. And also give yourself permission. Give yourself, I recommend give yourself 2 years. Say to yourself, I really think I'm going to love consulting. I'm going to give it a bash for 2 solid years. And then I'm going to take a look and say, am I happy? Am I successful? Am I making enough money? Am I loving my freedom and flexibility? If so, I'm going to keep on going. But you might say, I actually don't like being a consultant. I miss being part of a team. There are a lot of other reasons why people decide they don't want to be a consultant anymore. And that's okay. You don't have to do this for the rest of your life. The job, the project, the gig that you take next isn't going to be the rest of your life. It's going to be what's next. So look at this as an adventure. Look at it as a grand experiment and give it a try and see what you think. That's my recommendation, especially because there's so many opportunities right now for you. Okay. So, yeah, Steve, absolutely. So, Steve says his favorite reply to what's your rate should first be, well, what's your budget? And I did do that with Elmer. He said, so what are you looking for? And I said, well, that depends. What's your budget for this project? And he actually gave me his budget for the project, but that didn't help me very much on the fly because I hadn't done enough prep work to think about what's the budget for the project. If I charge $150 an hour, how many hours is that for how much time? I hadn't done enough prep work. So he told me what his budget was. And on the fly, I got flustered and I said $150 an hour. And I didn't know how that fit into his budget. So normally when you're well prepared, asking them what their budget is the perfect answer to what are you looking for. And they might respond with $53,000 or they might respond with an hourly rate. So anyway, yeah, great. Thank you. See, smart advice coming from other Eagle Groups members. All right. So 6 ways for you to mitigate the dark and ugly. Number 1, get educated. Please just trust me on this. If you've never been a consultant, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know where your blind spots are. It's like getting into anything new. So just know that and go ask people who have gone before. What are your blind spots? What do you need to know? What surprised them? Where did they make mistakes? What do they wish they'd known? Read Michael Gerber's book, although that's not about consulting. We do have courses at our Bez. If you're interested, you can go and grab those. Talk to the other consultants at the Eagles group and in your other networks and get advice from them. Please don't talk to your old Aunt Edna, and please don't talk to people who work with consultants but have never been a consultant because they don't know. They have some insights about how to be successful on a team once you're on the inside, but they don't know how to find the clients and how to sell yourself. So make sure you're getting advice from the right people. Okay, number 3, get multiple opinions. Do not just listen to me. Yes, I have 23 years of experience, but it's my experience through my rose-colored glasses. Go get multiple opinions, not just on consulting, not just on how to sell yourself, but on your finances, on your legal, your liability, sales, you name it. Okay, number 4. Now, this is something that a lot of people convincing you to become a consultant will not tell you. And I'm going to tell you the truth. You need a financial cushion. If you have a lot of debt, maybe COVID wiped out all of your savings and you have a lot of debt and you don't have any financial cushion, please don't start your business yet. Pay down some of your debt and get some cash reserves so that when you're building your business, you can sleep at night. Now, the exception to my rule on money in the bank is that you are more than welcome to take a gig right now through a staffing firm, even if you're up to your hocks in debt, because of all the reasons I explained earlier. You can try it on for size, make sure they're paying you enough so that you can continue to pay your bills and start to tuck away some money and pay off your debt. But if you want to start your own business and go out cold, please have some cash reserves and a manageable amount of debt. Okay, please. And then number 5, a way to mitigate your risk is to start small. Keep your full-time job or go get a full-time job and start doing projects on the side. That's a really nice way to get started. Figure it out, build up your reputation, your portfolio, try it on for size. And then number 6 way to mitigate your risk is, I already said it, start easy by working through staffing and consulting firms. All right, so enough of me talking. Now, why do you want to be a consultant? I gave you the fluffy, then I gave you the challenging. I want to ask this question again. Some of you are sitting there saying, oh, I don't know if I want to be a consultant. And that's okay. There are plenty of very happy full-time employees who have figured out how to get good money and the flexibility that they need and want. So nothing wrong with saying, I don't want to be a consultant. But some of you are screaming at me right now because I want to do it. I am ready. I want to do it. And so I want to know from you now, for those of you that are still interested in it, why do you want to be a consultant? Christian says, I'm still not sure, but I feel like I should know how to. Hey, great. You're somewhere in the middle and there's nothing wrong with that. Anybody else? Anybody else? While you're bringing your thoughts together. Another success story. So Roger got laid off. He got whacked, downsized, right-sized, whatever his company called it. And he was very nervous about becoming a consultant. He came through, he took our course, How to Become a Highly Paid Consultant. And he said, I'm still really nervous about this. And I said, you know what? Give yourself the gift of an adventure. Try it out. See if you like it. And you can quit and go back to full-time if you want. No harm, no foul. He got his first project just 3 weeks after starting our course. And it was a challenging stretch role for him. He had just gotten Six Sigma certified. He didn't have any experience as I think it was a green belt, 0 experience, but he got a role using his Six Sigma skills. And then just extended him another 6 months. This was probably 4 years ago, and he's still a consultant and loving it. So before we talk about staffing firms, let me see what y'all came up with fighting to still consider consultants. Sean really loves the idea of helping clients solve their problems. The cool thing about a consultant is that instead of doing jobs that require all of this of you, you get to pick the thing or the 2 or 3 things that you really love to do and get rid of all the other stuff and just do the kind of work that you really enjoy. And it sounds like Sean's got a pretty good idea of the kind of work that he or she wants to do. Larry says, a great way to gain exposure to many different challenges in order to grow faster in skills and network. Hey, the other thing is you might use contracting as a way to try out new industries and try companies on for size. Alan, if I remember correctly, I think you actually went to United Health Group as a contractor and then went full-time. I might be mistaken. But a lot of people get into highly coveted companies like Cargill and United Health Group and 3M. Some of the very popular companies are really tough to get into as a full-time employee, but they're willing to take a chance on you as a consultant. And so sometimes if you know you want to spend the rest of your life at Cargill, but you can't get in, go in as a contractor, let them fall in love with you, and then they will make you a full-time offer. That happens for a lot of people. Okay, so Alan says, no, Kat, you're wrong. But I got that as an initial offer. Oh, so they did want to bring him on as a temp, but he negotiated and said, nope, I'm hot stuff. You should make me an offer as a full-timer. And so he was able to change the job offer into a full-time salaried role. All right. Side gig. Kenneth did a side gig to keep him sharp in the industry, and it provided him for race car parts. I love it. And Alan says, I am hot stuff. All right. So the staffing firms, the good, the bad, and the really, really ugly. So I actually think I've shared most of that with you. The good, they can find clients, although please, those recruiters are very charming. I know because I was one. Their job is to entice you to let them represent you. Okay. And when you're a hot commodity, they're going to woo you harder. And so as a recruiter, I was really good at enticing people to come and work with our firm. Unfortunately, when I was young and dumb, I forgot to say, but you owe yourself a favor. You owe yourself. You can't wait for me to find you a project. That's what I wasn't saying to people. I would get them so excited about working for my company that they would stop job hunting and stop working with other staffing firms. You can't do that. The staffing firms get paid by the clients. They do not get paid for you until they take your piece of your pie. But if they don't have a gig for you right now, you need to go and talk to other staffing firms. But when the timing is right and the project opportunity is right, they can negotiate contracts, they can carry the liability insurance, they might be able to offer you health insurance. The really good firms are going to support you. They're going to tell you the good, the bad, the ugly about the client. They're going to help you with things like expectations, difficult clients, how to be successful, what to do when the leadership changes, when the project scope changes, when the company gets sold. Good staffing and consulting firms will help you navigate those challenges as a consultant. There are thousands of consultants who spend an entire career working through recruiting and consulting firms, and they love it. And it's a great thing. There are fabulous recruiters and consultants in your industry that you will really enjoy working with. That's the bright side. The dark side. Let me tell you quickly, and I want to take questions. I want to tell, because I see in the Q&A, we've got some questions. Day in a life of a staffing recruiter. It is a numbers game. It is a sales job, and they're working straight commissions. In other words, when you're working with a staffing firm, they don't make any money unless they place you on assignment and get paid by a client. That means they are dialing for dollars. I was making 50 phone calls a day. I was trying to fill the jobs that I had on my desk, and I had to make a decision in 5 or 10 minutes on the phone with you. Are you a fit? Are you a potential fit? If not, hey, good luck to you. This isn't a great opportunity for you. Let's stay in touch. Why don't we connect on LinkedIn? Have a great day. And I had to get you off the phone as soon as possible so I could dial up the next person to find the candidate who was a good fit for the projects that I had right then and there. That can feel really gross to you, and it can be frustrating. That's one piece of it. The other piece of it is I had a boss who was telling me to charge more money of my clients and to push my candidates down on less money so that we could make more money off of them. And I was under tremendous pressure from an executive level to have a really nice 30 to 50% margin on top of what we paid you, which means less money in your pocket. I worked for one staffing firm that was affectionately referred to as a body shop, where they would take less money from their clients. That meant I didn't have the luxury of time to support my consultants and to help them be successful. And they'd call me and say, my client's a jerk. And I'd say, gosh, I'm so sorry. I wish I could help you. Go find somebody to help you. Go find somebody in your network who can help you. I hated that. It was horrible, but I was under so much pressure from the boss to fill more positions, and my job was on the line. If I didn't fill more positions, I would get fired. Therefore, I couldn't support my consultants in the way that I wanted to. You see why I ditched the corporate ladder and started my own business? So that's some of the dark side of the staffing firms. I could share a lot more, but anyway, so let's jump over to your questions as I wrap up my content. Is consulting right for you? I don't know. I don't know, but I can help you decide, and I can help you decide with the free download that you're going to get. I also, by the way, I do a free live show on LinkedIn. I've been doing that since COVID broke out. And if you go to watch my replays, I have a show that I did just about 2 months ago on consulting. I've done a lot of shows on consulting. You can go and watch those. And again, we've got courses online at arbez.com if you're interested. So is consulting right for you? I don't know, but I can help you figure it out. Is now the right time? Only you can decide that. But my assessment that you're all going to get for free is going to help you make that decision. So help me on today. Let me get to some of your questions here. Steve wants to know what type of consulting firms are out there for non-IT tech stuff. Who are they and how to connect with them? Oh, Steve, the world is your oyster. And I tell you what, if you connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a message in the subject line, please say Eagles Group list of staffing firms, then I will pull my list of staffing firms out of our highly paid consulting course and I will send it to you. So I've got a list of, I think, 34 websites that you can go to find staffing firms and projects as a consultant. So I will send you that. But the best way for you to find staffing firms in your area of expertise, let me first tell you, there are staffing firms in every discipline, in every industry. It's a billion-dollar business. Trust me, there are non-IT staffing firms out there. Finance, operations, marketing. I promise you there are people who are in the business of putting companies and freelancers together in your area of expertise. Just go to a Google search, talk to consultants that you know that are in your industry and ask them who do they like to go through. Talk to friends of yours that hire consultants in your area and say, who do you admire? Who do you like to work with? So they're out there. I'd be happy to send that to you. Samuel wants to know, how do you identify the type of solution that you bring to the marketplace? Well, I call it picking your niche. And there are three things you need to think about. You need to think about, first of all, what do you love to do? Passion. What do you love to do? What are you good at doing and marketable in right now? It's possible that you love to do something, but you don't have a lot of experience in it yet. And so you may need to pick something else to focus on until you pick up some more experience. So what do you love to do? What do you have marketable skills in? And the third thing is, what does the market need right now? And let me give you a couple of ideas on how to go find out what the market needs and what they're going to hire you for right now. Indeed.com is where all the open jobs are. It's where tons of open jobs are. Go to Indeed.com and look at jobs. Go to LinkedIn jobs and look at who's hiring for what. And I encourage you to look at full-time and contract positions, because what you're trying to figure out is, where's the pain? And I can tell you right now, hot jobs are in data science. That's the number one hot job right now and into the future, data science. In other words, people who can take big data and turn it into meaningful reports that executives and business leaders can use to make business decisions. So big data is hot right now as full-time and consultants. Digital anything, digital marketing, digital presentations, digital anything is hot right now. So if you can think about your skills and how to utilize those in a digital workplace, that can be really good. What else is hot right now? Remote workforce. If you're not in IT, but hey, business processes. If a company is going to allow its workforce to remain flexible and remain remote, I guarantee you they've got business processes and workflow challenges that they've got to solve. In fact, I have a job to share. Are you ready? I am helping a CIO friend of mine. So this isn't going to work for you, Samuel, but for those of you that are in IT, I am helping a CIO friend fill a full-time role at a fantastic Midwest regional bank. Here's the job: banking systems workflow analyst. Adam, I bet you know somebody who would be great for this position. Banking systems workflow analyst. They need somebody with Fiserv or comparable platform experience who can come in and be the primary point of contact for the business and for their outsourced vendor to make sure that their core banking systems stay up 24/7. It's the first point of contact when the vendor has a problem, when a user has a problem. It's a really critical role, and they need a senior banking systems workflow analyst. Now, you could have been in other industries and you've only been in banking for 3 or more years, but that's the opportunity. I just said yes today. So if you're interested and you think you're qualified, or if you've got a friend who's interested, you can just send them to me on LinkedIn and just say Eagles Group banking job, and I would love to talk to them. All right. So how do you identify this? Samuel, hopefully I answered your question. You've got a second question. How would a newer consultant make the most of marketing dollars to find clients? LinkedIn, LinkedIn, LinkedIn. Please, please, please do not spend 10 grand on a marketing firm who's going to help you find clients on LinkedIn. Please do not spend any money on a marketing consultant until you have gone out and found some clients on your own through your network. Here's why. Those marketing agencies, does it sound like I've had some bad experiences? Guilty as charged. Those marketing agencies that promise to get you leads on LinkedIn are only as good as your niche and your focus and your message. In other words, if you aren't clear about what you want to do, for whom, and who your ideal client is, that marketing agency isn't going to be able to bring you the kind of clients that you want. So you need to go and find your own clients a little bit on your own. You've got to get focused on the work that you want to do, who you want to do work with, what your value proposition is, and then go spend money on marketing firms to make you look and sound great. But Samuel, the great news is you don't have to spend a penny. Okay, yes, you do. No, you don't. Veterans get LinkedIn Premium for free. I have built my business over the last 15 years, almost single-handedly using LinkedIn. And I even had the free edition until about 3 years ago. I have LinkedIn Premium. I do also have Sales Navigator, and that's how I find clients. That's how I build my business. So LinkedIn, you've got to get serious about your LinkedIn profile, getting out there daily, building relationships, building your network. And to all of you, the first place you need to start is reaching out to people that are in your target market who are military veterans. You know it. When you reach out to somebody who's a veteran and you say, hi, oh my gosh, we were both in the Air Force. I see you're working at a company that I am fascinated by. You got 10 minutes? I'd love to talk. Bam. You've got a phone conversation, which turns into a coffee date, which turns into an incredible referral partner. So I hope that helps you, Samuel, think about how to get started. You can start your business with the Eagles Group alone. And I promise you, if you work it properly and you're respectful of people's time, you can start your business and find some projects through this network of alumni and current people. How do veterans get LinkedIn for free? There's a button on the LinkedIn website, but just go out and Google it. Free membership LinkedIn veterans. I bet Alan can tell you. All right, so you guys, I want to recommend, we got 6 minutes left, and I bet Adam wants to wrap up things tonight so that you can get off into your garden, playing ball with your kids or your dog, or jamming with your band, whatever it is. I'm going to jam with my band later tonight. We've got a gig August 12th, and I might share it with my network. I'm still a little nervous about it. Stay tuned. Here's your assessment. I'm going to send this in the follow-up. So Adam, I will send you this download link as well so that you can send it out in an email to everybody. But this is how you can get my free assessment. Again, it's a 10-step formula for success. It's going to help you figure out, will I enjoy this? And is now the right time? Am I ready? If you're interested, we do also have courses online, how to become a highly paid consultant, the sales and negotiation kit for consultants, the networking edge kit, and the consultants interview to win guide. They're all out at arbez.com. So feel free to get out there if you're interested. With that, I am going to, believe it or not, stop talking. And I'm going to toss it back over to Adam and just say thank you to all of you so much for having me tonight. I just care deeply about helping our military's veterans land well and build civilian careers that are successful and lucrative and fun. And it's just an honor to walk that journey with you. So I hope you'll connect with me on LinkedIn and